Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Angels 4-3. With those results, Seattle still sits in first place with Houston 4.5 games back in fourth. In the Men's College World Series, the University of Texas eliminated the Alabama Crimson Tide after beating them 14-2 yesterday afternoon. Then Oklahoma beat Georgia 4-3 to set up an elimination game between Texas and Georgia tonight at 7 p.m. Also in the College World Series today, on the other side of the bracket, West Virginia will meet Troy in an elimination game at 1 p.m. today in Omaha. After a lengthy legal battle, it was revealed yesterday that Brennan Sorsby will be applying to the NFL supplemental draft and continuing to try to play his college career with Texas Tech. The deadline for the supplemental draft for the NFL is June 22nd. Day 6 of the FIFA World Cup begins today with another full slate of matches. France will play Senegal at 2 p.m., then Iraq will play Norway at 5 p.m. Defending champions Argentina will face Algeria at 8 p.m., and then the late kick will be Austria squaring off with Jordan at 11 p.m. I'm Blake Purser, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown, ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette, 104.1 in Lake Charles. Anywhere you are with the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, and of course now streaming live on YouTube every single day on the ESPN_SWLA channel. We are broadcasting from inside the Beal and Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette, and we've got yet another really exciting day because we continue to have College World Series action every day. We continue to have World Cup action every day. We got a resolution to one of the most bizarre sports stories of the calendar year. We've got the Astros having actually a really fascinating set of storylines in their game tonight. What am I missing? Oh, the U.S. Open starting this weekend. Going to preview that. The NBA Finals still kind of feeling the ripple effects of the conclusion of that season. Already, of course, as the NBA does, maybe best. We're already talking about where Giannis is going to play next year. So we've got nothing short of a ton of things to get to here on the show today. And, by the way, State of Raging Cajuns Athletics. We're going to do it with Dr. Brian Maggard, the Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics. Also, kind of not officially called, but basically is the athletic director. Title's a little different for some of those offices. So Dr. Maggard's going to stop by in the second hour. We'll do that at 2:30, bottom of hour number 2. We're going to talk stadium renovation projects, what the latest is on the timing of those. We're going to talk the momentum that baseball brought towards the end of the season. We'll let him kind of review the year in athletics as a whole for the Cajuns. We will talk his appointment as a college football playoff committee member and more. So we'll do that at the bottom of the second hour, 2:30. Brian Maggard will join the show at 2 o'clock. I guess we'll go backwards here for the show rundown on our guests. It is a symmetrical day, meaning we will have a guest every half hour here on the show today. So at 2 o'clock, we are going to talk U.S. Open with our friend Chris Fissaro, who has a new gig, by the way, formerly of the PGA Championship. He is now a part of the PGA Tour. We'll talk with him about the U.S. Open at 2 o'clock. And Ali Cassell joins us in just less than a half hour, 1:30. We'll talk the end of the NBA season, finals reactions. He was all over it. He picked the Knicks from the very beginning. Ali was right about that. We'll get his reactions to how it all went down, and we'll get a look ahead to the NBA offseason that is already starting to fire on all cylinders, as we mentioned. In addition to that, of course, we'll do our red card rundown. We'll do that in the second hour. An exciting day of soccer. It did end in 4 draws. I know that's that's not the most exciting thing in the world, but the way we got there, one of those draws was incredibly rare, and we already kind of alluded to that yesterday because that game happened in the early window. We had another really fascinating one with Belgium and Egypt. Then the last 2 matches also ended, but the last one was a lot of excitement and entertainment between Iran and New Zealand. I got to watch the majority of that. So we'll do the red card rundown in hour number 2. But basically, we're going to be all over the map, jumping around here. The College World Series is about to get rolling right now, and that's where we'll start, by the way. Let's go ahead and get locked in.
D-Loh is the kind of guy that stays locked in. On what? Well, that depends on the night. But you can guarantee there was some sporting event that he found interesting. It's time to find out what D-Loh was locked in on the LohDown.
So we go out to Omaha. As I mentioned, the College World Series continued on. We had the right side of the bracket, and we had an elimination game to start, and then we had a winner's bracket game to follow. Texas and Alabama, and boy, the Longhorns whooped up on Bama yesterday. Alabama was a confusing team this entire postseason to me. They had a nice resume. They end up getting the number 7 national seed. Personally, I thought they maybe should have been lower than that, maybe like a 10 or an 11. Didn't know if they had really earned their way to host throughout the entire postseason. But regardless, they get the number 7 seed. They handle their business. They win their regional. They get a St. John's matchup in the Supers. It would have been Florida State. And to be honest with you, I didn't think Florida State was playing very well at all. So even if they would have found a way to get past St. John's, I don't know if they'd have challenged Bama in the Supers very much either. Probably would have at least had a better shot with the frontline arms they could have thrown at him. But Bama got to Omaha, and yet I don't know if anybody was like overly excited and overly ambitious about their chances once they got there. And they did not do themselves any favors once they were there either. First game, 9-0 to Oklahoma. Lack of competitiveness in that game. They did not compete very well. Oklahoma's playing really good right now. Nobody's denying that. More on that in a minute. But rough start for them there. And then yesterday against Texas, I mean, they're down 7-1 after 2 innings. And it really never got any closer than that. They had it at 7-2, and then Texas poured it on. 14-2 is the final. So Alabama's run in Omaha goes rather uneventfully. They are 2 in barbecue. This was still a pretty impressive return for Alabama. You think about the drama they had with their coach betting on games and getting, banned from the sport essentially and all that stuff just a few years back. To have this thing back in the spot they're in, going to the College World Series, I think it's an incredibly well done coaching job by Bama and company. But this team felt pretty flawed to me. I'm not stunned to see an early exit. Maybe didn't think it was going to be being outscored, 23-2 across 2 games. But I didn't love their chances to compete in Omaha, and they do go 0-2. Texas is legit, and we knew that. They got beat in the Georgia showdown. Georgia's pitcher had an all-time performance with 15 Ks, and they got beat early on. Anthony Pack Jr. is hitting 400 since the start of SEC play. You're talking about a freshman who's supposed to – the freshmen who have great non-conference statistics in the SEC, right, when they're playing on a team but they're in non-conference, when they get to conference play, they're supposed to have this sort of wake-up call, right, where they're facing elite SEC arms every week. Nobody told Anthony Pack Jr. that because he's literally just gotten better and better once SEC play started. He's been unbelievable in the NCAA tournament. And he did it again yesterday. He had an RBI single in the second that helped get them rolling a little bit. Went 3 for 4 overall, 2 driven in. The dude's unreal. And so he also homered yesterday, his 12th of the season. So this Texas team's legit. We knew that. If there was anybody who had the depth to get out of the loser's bracket, it probably was Texas. They did throw Ruger Riojas yesterday, who gave him 6 quality innings. So that burns him, at least for the rest of this week. I mean, if you get to the championship series, if you're the Longhorns, maybe you think about bringing him back. But they are going to have to use the depth of their pitching staff to get there, because obviously they've got 3 games left to win, even before a championship series situation. But they're by no means dead. Texas is not dead. Don't get me wrong. The nightcap was the surprise, maybe of the tournament so far. This Oklahoma team they have epitomized getting hot at the right time. They were a very ordinary team throughout the season. They were ordinary in SEC play. They, just kind of hung around middle of the pack in that conference. They certainly had to sweat at least a little bit when it came tournament selection time and had to, win some games down the stretch. They were not red hot, and then all of a sudden they were red hot. And they've rolled ever since. They took out, and some teams you talk about, they had an easy path. Oklahoma had to go through Georgia Tech in their regional, who was thought of to be one of, if not the favorites in the whole thing, right? Because they were playing even better than UCLA was when tournament time came around. Oklahoma had to beat them twice, did that. Then, even after that, I think you looked around and you said to yourself, Well, that was it was a great weekend that Oklahoma had, but now they got to go to a super, and I don't know if they're all of a sudden going to have enough in a super setting to beat a team like Kansas, who's carrying all this momentum and is playing at home. Then they cruised past Kansas, wasn't even close. Outscored the Jayhawks 21-3. So think about this. Since we started super regional play, Oklahoma's played the number 15 seed Kansas twice, the number 7 seed Alabama, and yesterday the number 3 seed Georgia and the hottest team in the country, right? And they have won every one of those games. That is a 4-0 record, and they have outscored their opponents 34-4 in that stretch. I mean, out of nowhere, Oklahoma is just destroying teams. So they were kind of the story of the day yesterday. Dayton LaChance has been unbelievable, as has this kid, Dayton Taki. So wait, one of those I have the name wrong because they're not both named Dayton. But they've both been unbelievable, okay? It's Dayton LaChance. Is it really? Do they both have the same name? That'd be incredible if they did. They do. They both are named Dayton. Wow, that's crazy. I was saying to myself, I was like, I must have the name wrong on one of them, but it's not. It's Dayton LaChance and Dayton Taki. They've both been unbelievable. LaChance hits the homer yesterday to get him going a little bit. Then the pitching performance by Mercurius, who's been awesome all year. Another guy who, look, and he's taken a little bit of his lumps as far as the ERA is concerned because of some of those SEC opponents, but he gives you 7 1/3 against that Georgia lineup. The Sooners end up holding on for dear life, giving up a run in the 8th, but still holding on to win it 4-3. Good bullpen performance by Cleveland as well, who gets his 9th save of the year. And Oklahoma's 1 win away from the championship series. Now, they get the winner of Georgia and Texas, who both felt like the favorites on this side of the bracket when we started. So by no means is it going to be a cruise control situation for OU. They're going to have a fight on their hands beginning tomorrow. But what a run it's already been for the Sooners, and they've still got an opportunity to keep this thing rolling and potentially, win a College World Series if things continue to go their way. As for what's happening today in Omaha, remember our friends, the Troy Trojans, right? They won back on Sunday. We had Barry McKnight on yesterday, talked about the rematch with West Virginia. That game is going on right now. Troy, keep in mind, is actually the home team in this game because once you've been the road team, they start flipping it around, right, and who's home and who's away. So Troy is the home team. They are playing in the top half of the first inning. West Virginia's got the leadoff man on, but that game just literally started right when we started the show today. Tonight, ESPN, 7 o'clock first pitch is Texas and Georgia, volume number 2. Texas will be the home team in that one since Georgia was the home team the first time those two met up. That one should be a whole lot of fun as well. One of those teams that we kind of thought was going to play in the championship of that side of the bracket will be going home tonight. So Georgia and Texas tonight, West Virginia and Troy getting it rolling right now. All right, we'll take a timeout. When we return, we've got some breaking news. And it's pretty good news, I think, for Saints fans, depending how you feel about the situation. But all in all, nostalgic-wise, it's pretty good news. Somebody's returning to the Saints in 2026. We'll tell you who that is. We'll also give some quick thoughts on the whole debacle that happened at Texas Tech that seemingly now has a much more fitting resolution. That's after this on LohDown.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This feels more relevant now than ever. With storm season approaching, we've got some activity in the Gulf, by the way. Could be a storm headed this way as soon as a couple of days from now. So our friends over at Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley have teamed up with us to bring you some hurricane safety tips. Make sure to secure your home and bring in outdoor items. And as I'm saying, today, tomorrow, probably the really good times to do this in case this storm does end up forming and heading our way in the next few days. Have an emergency plan or an emergency kit stocked with water, food, and medications, and a plan as well. Know your evacuation routes and listen to local authorities. Stay informed with a battery-powered radio, and remember, safety is in your hands. These hurricane preparedness tips are powered by Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley, your local Generac dealer. Visit midsouthpowersolutions.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Palermo. Join us on Tuesday nights for Tiger Rag Radio. Myself, Todd Horn, and Glenn Gilbo give you the latest happenings in Tiger Town and across the SEC. We talk to coaches, analysts, and those in the know when it comes to the Tigers and the Southeastern Conference. We cover all the sports: football, baseball, basketball, softball, and gymnastics. That's Tuesday nights right here on ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette and 104.1 in Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
New tax resolution firms are popping up every day with high-paid celebrity endorsers advertising ridiculous claims in their TV ads. That's why they have the tiny, unreadable disclaimers at the bottom of the screen. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. Our ads never have those ridiculous, fast-talking, tiny disclaimers at the end because, simply put, there are no guarantees when it comes to the IRS and wiping out tax bills. And we don't make promises we can't keep. Of course, there are ways the Bryson Law Firm can help resolve your tax debt, but no company can guarantee it will eliminate it. This is why their clients call the Bryson Law Firm when those promises don't pan out. If you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit BrysonLawFirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Bryson Law Firm. LSBA filing number LA2518447.
Imagine building your dream backyard pool without ever leaving your couch. With Duplessis Builders, you can go shop our in-ground gunite pool packages online, start to finish. Browse our pool designs, compare features, see exactly what's included, and choose the package that fits your style and budget. Once you purchase, our team takes over. From permit and excavation to gunite decking and final startup, you click, we build, you swim. Your backyard upgrade is just a few clicks away. Visit DuplessisBuilders.net and buy your pool online today.
Attention first responders, police officers, firefighters, military and former military personnel. If you have an acre or more of grass to cut, Skag Zero-Turn Mowers would like to thank you by offering you a special discount with their Simply the Brave First Responders program. Save big money on the industry's top-rated zero-turn mower at Nolan's Lawnmower in Carencro. Nolan's can offer well-qualified buyers 0% financing for 48 months. Come by Nolan's Lawnmower at 3547 Northwest Evangeline Thruway and check out the full line of Skag Zero-Turn Lawnmowers.
Every weeknight, MeTV has your laugh therapy.
To chase away the blues or the olive drabs.
With 2 hours of MASH at 5.
This guy's ankle has tickled my funny bone.
Followed by the Andy Griffith Show at 7.
Doggone it, Otis. You're supposed to be hugging me when I'm arresting you.
But he likes you, Bart.
Weeknights on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Do yourself a favor and download the free ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, powered by Moss Motors BMW for your Android or Apple devices. Download the app by searching ESPN 1037 Lafayette or ESPN 1041 Lake Charles. It's just that easy to take Southwest Louisiana's sports station with you wherever you go.
It just wouldn't have sat right with me, and I don't think it would have sat right with most members of the Houdat Nation for a certain player to have finished his career anywhere else but in New Orleans. That's right. Cameron Jordan is coming back. Cam Jordan and company have agreed, it looks like. They're not officially done, I guess. Finishing touches on a one-year incentive-laden deal. He came into town today to talk. Kellen Moore had alluded to the fact that he felt pretty good about the chances that Cam and the Saints were going to come to an agreement, and that, it looks like, is coming to fruition. Ian Rappaport at Rap Sheet on Twitter, of course, lead insider for NFL Network, is reporting this. So that makes all the sense in the world. Cam had an incredible season a year ago, turned back the clock a little bit, right? Had some really good sack numbers. At the same time, I think the Saints were right to have a little bit of hesitation about committing some more big-time money to him. And so this makes the most sense for both sides. It's an incentive-laden deal. If Cam Jordan puts together another season like he did a year ago, where he is turning back the clock, looking like his youthful self and putting up big numbers, then he'll get paid accordingly. If Cam struggles, then he's made himself a lot of money in the past, and he's still there to be a valuable locker room asset to the Saints as they continue to kind of transition and change of the guard, right? From the old regime with Breeze and company and some of those players who have meant so much to this franchise to the new Tyler Shuck-led organization and Kellen Moore as the new head coach and everything like that. So Cam Jordan, it appears, set to be back on a one-year deal with the Saints. All feels a little bit more right in the world. if Cam Jordan was wearing, I don't know, a Chicago Bears jersey for a year and we just had to have that weird taste in our mouth, I do have a feeling that even if he did that, then like a couple years down the road, it would have been more like, man, remember that weird year where Cam Jordan was playing elsewhere? Because I think he'd ultimately just been a saint. But like in how we remember him, but now hopefully we don't have to have that. And this would feel like his last year. We're never going to close the door on him because clearly he's made it a few more years than we thought he would in the first place. But Cam Jordan looks like he's going to be back in New Orleans. Shout out to the Saints for making it happen. And look, hopefully he finds a way to actually bring some production to you. That'd be great as well. But it's a bonus situation. I don't think you're expecting Cam to have another 9.5, 10-sack season. But if he does, then that'd be awesome, by all means. Help out the rest of those guys. Help Chase Young provide even more pressure on the quarterback, things of that nature. Okay, the Brendan Sorsby situation took another turn yesterday, and it's appearing we're now having a resolution. I had predicted, I don't know if I predicted it happening quite this way, but I had said, look, there's way too much backlash. I think I kind of get it. When you get this much negative PR, I just felt like ultimately he wasn't going to play for Texas Tech this year. I thought something was going to change. I thought maybe Texas Tech would be the ones to go ahead and just say, hey, he's not going to play for us. Then Tech did their 21-minute roundtable conversation that everyone was laughing about. And I was like, are they just really going to be this stubborn about it? And are they going to fully, full-blown embrace, we are the villains? Darth Vader, Thanos, move over. Texas Tech is now on the mantle. Was that going to happen? And it kind of seemed like that for a few days. And then yesterday, the Big 12 has this formal complaint filed. And it's like, hey, they're not backing down from this whole this is wrong thing, which I don't fault them for at all. And today we get the news where it sounds like Sorsby is just going to go ahead and enter the supplemental draft in the NFL and is not going to play for Texas Tech in 2026. I read the statement from Cody Campbell. I'll save you the time, but he basically, the vibe I got from it, again, paraphrasing, not putting words into his mouth, you can read the full statement if you'd like, but the vibe I got was, sorry you guys were mad about this. That's kind of what I read there. But ultimately, it looks like what had to happen is going to happen. He's not going to play college football this year. There were just so many different barriers to this. It was going to be a mess. I don't actually think teams were going to boycott them, playing them and all this stuff, but it just felt like it was way too much to have go down. And I just felt more and more like as this stuff came out last week, I don't want to say cooler heads are going to prevail, but it just felt like there was going to be no other resolution other than the fact that we'll find a way for him not to be on the field because there's no one is benefiting from this. If Sorsby went out there and played well, he was just going to get booed and bullied and maligned the entire time. And if he played poorly, that was even going to make it easier, and then he was still going to be put in a bad spot. The best thing for Brendan Sorsby, to be completely honest with you right now, is to somehow get onto an NFL roster through the supplemental draft, which has its own set of unique hurdles. There hasn't been a supplemental draft pick since 2019. Teams are going to have the opportunity. Do they want to throw a draft pick at him? Who knows? We'll see. They're going to have to judge for themselves how big the distraction, all that stuff is. But the best thing I personally do think for Brendan Sorsby, the best thing to have happen is someone spend a supplemental draft pick on him, not a high-value one, not a first, second round type deal, but somewhere in the middle to late rounds of the supplemental draft, somebody says, yeah, we'll give up a pick for him, and he goes to a team that has first of all, a franchise quarterback in place, and he just disappears for a year or two. And just works in an NFL building, tries to fine-tune his craft as a quarterback, gets the help he needs off the field with his addiction, everything else, all the stuff Texas Tech was very, very excited to help him about, it sounded like, right? Just get out of the spotlight. Time heals all wounds. I don't think people are going to forget about this. If he ever ends up playing in the NFL, it's clearly going to get brought back to the forefront. But the best thing that I think could happen for Brendan Sorsby right now is to find his way onto somebody's roster and just go away for a couple of years. I really do believe that. I'm not saying that to be ugly to him. I think if he wants to have some sort of life in football and he doesn't want to just give this all up and go start a new career, doing whatever he wants to do, selling insurance, cutting grass, being a financial advisor, whatever it is, if he wants a career in football, the best thing for him is to probably just get out of the spotlight and let people either forget or at least remove the element of emotion that they're feeling about it right now. And playing a season for Texas Tech and potentially winning big games for them was not going to help that case down the road. So I ultimately do think that the thing we always, and Texas Tech was big on, hey, what's best for the student athlete? What's best for him? What's best? I actually do think what's best for him is not playing for Texas Tech this year. And we'll see what the supplemental draft looks like, what the NFL interest is in him, and all that stuff when they get that sorted out and figured out. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we return, as I mentioned, we got 3 guests today. We'll start it off. Ali Cassell, the NBA Finals have wrapped. He was very right about how the Finals were going to go. We'll get his thoughts on how it all went down and an early look at the NBA offseason. That's next here on LohDown. Stay tuned.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros were crushed last night at home, 9-3 by the Detroit Tigers. Kai Ting went 3 1/3, giving up 5 runs on 6 hits with 3 home runs, but did manage to strike out 9. Game 2 will be tonight, and it'll be Hunter Brown on the mound taking on his old teammate in Framber Valdez. First pitch is at 7:10 p.m., and you can listen to it on News Talk 98.5 FM and 1520 AM. Around the AL West, the Minnesota Twins defeated the Texas Rangers 4-2. The Athletics beat the Pirates 11-2, and the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Angels 4-3. With those results, Seattle still sits in first place with Houston 4.5 games back in fourth. In the Men's College World Series, the University of Texas eliminated the Alabama Crimson Tide after beating them 14-2 yesterday afternoon. Then Oklahoma beat Georgia 4-3 to set up an elimination game between Texas and Georgia tonight at 7 p.m. Also in the College World Series today, on the other side of the bracket, West Virginia will meet Troy in an elimination game at 1 p.m. today in Omaha. After a lengthy legal battle, it was revealed yesterday that Brennan Sorsby will be applying to the NFL supplemental draft and continuing to try to play his college career with Texas Tech. The deadline for the supplemental draft for the NFL is June 22nd. Day 6 of the FIFA World Cup begins today with another full slate of matches. France will play Senegal at 2 p.m., then Iraq will play Norway at 5 p.m. Defending champions Argentina will face Algeria at 8 p.m., and then the late kick will be Austria squaring off with Jordan at 11 p.m. I'm Blake Purser, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Row coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
It's 9 a.m. You just received a voicemail from your boss.
Hey, Janet, heads up. We got an important meeting coming up Thursday. The big guys are coming into town, so I need you in charge of lunch, and we've got to look good.
Luckily for Janet, she knows a place, and she knows her boss will be impressed.
Honey Baked Ham can cater your next event. Delicious and freshly sliced deli trays, box lunches with sandwich, chips, and dessert. Or try our fresh salad boxes and the perfect touch with a meat and cheese tray. Honey Baked Ham Company.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices.
To learn more, visit GoVote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
MeTV is America's #1 classic entertainment television network. And here's one of the reasons everybody loves MeTV.
Oh, it's a classic.
The great comedy lineup on weeknights.
This will be fun. Come on.
With MASH.
Loaded with snappy comebacks.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I was just funning with Barney.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Now we got a show.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Know someone with a drinking or drug problem? Learn how to get sober after we share these stories.
I was 35 with 2 beautiful children when my life and addiction started to spiral out of control. After my divorce, I went into a depression cycle and started drinking more often and using prescription drugs. After my second DWI and arrest, my ex-husband threatened to take our children away from me.
I was 17 when I became addicted to heroin and meth. I thought I could quit on my own, but I couldn't. It hit me when I was arrested.
Get sober now. Your private insurance may cover costs and we'll get you here. It's simple. Just call Elite Rehab Placement right now. Please, don't wait. Your life matters to us. 800-819-8313. 800-819-8313. 800-819-8313. That's 800-819-8313.
This is ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, broadcasting live from the Beal and Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette. Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. Back to more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Back here on the LohDown, Tuesday edition of the show continues on, and our friend Ali Cassell is back with us, NBA analyst. And look, we've talked to Ali a lot throughout the playoffs. It is finally over. The NBA finals have concluded. We have a new champion. It is the New York Knicks. And you heard it here first, because Ali Cassell picked the Knicks way before this series even started. So first off, Ali, congratulations. You knew. I did not. I guess we'll go back to it. I know you've said it before, but what did you like about this Knicks team's chances against San Antonio?
Yeah, I like the way they were playing when they entered that series, right? Crushing their previous 2 opponents. Really got on the roll after having 2 losses against the Hawks, not having lost a game. And then you just like that the fact that they are all in their prime. They're key guys. They're starters. And when you combine that with having one of the best, if not now, the best closer in the game, right, in Jalen Brunson, it just makes for a recipe where, when it comes down to a close game, you like the Knicks' chances, right? Play their role to a T, the guys that defend, rebound, and you know who your shooters are. So they checked all the boxes with the Spurs. It was just the youth, right? It was the youth, and I know that they played so well, especially against the Thunder. But again, I didn't like how they closed out, for instance, Game 7 against the Thunder, where you kind of lucked into that win almost because they didn't have somebody closing the game because Wembanyama, he wasn't their go-to guy. So I kept on wondering, if you get into close games against the Knicks on the stage of the NBA Finals, you're probably going to run into problems, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's almost because that's what confused me so much is like they just did this against a team that we all think is better than the Knicks, or at least thought was better than the Knicks were going into the playoffs. And so I wonder if it's one of those, like, they still kind of were able to go under the radar a little bit, and the moment itself, as you kind of got past that series and went, wow, we just beat the Thunder. If that set in, it was just so surprising to see them fold in the final moments of these games where, we go back to Game 1 even against the Thunder where they felt they were so confident. It was like, man, this team doesn't even know how young they are.
Yeah, you wonder how maybe tired they were. I mean, Wemby was playing averaging 40 minutes a game when we know in the regular season how they kept his minutes down to a minimum, right? Usually under 30. Then you wondered about like De'Aaron Fox, who sprained his ankle, he didn't look good. Let's face it. In the finals, wasn't moving around well. You had Stephen Castle, who, because of that Fox injury, had to handle the ball for the first 2 games and ran into 20-plus turnovers in just 2 games. And then you had Dylan Harper, who is a fresh, faced rookie in the league, but actually he handled it best. So they had all those type of questions, right? And we saw it. So they weren't at their best in my mind. Like I said, the Knicks, having crushed their 2 previous opponents, they came in so well rested, and you kind of saw that, right? Their energy, their ability to fight back because they were down, double digits in every single game against the Spurs because they just had that in reserve, right? And I didn't feel like the Spurs had much in reserve.
When you look back at the way these finals went, the excitement around, Madison Square Garden and, everything around the Knicks being there, I know that played into it a lot, but I really did think that the NBA, they did pay attention to some things that were asked for. They threw the finals logo underneath, the Larry O'Brien trophy. Like, little things like that. I felt like these finals kind of had some of the juice back that maybe we've been thinking they're missing. Did you catch any of that?
Yeah, I did. I thought the broadcasts were outstanding, right, in terms of the way the games are played. I love that there's usually now two analysts, right, sitting in these games, regardless of what channel it's being broadcasted on. That combined with, again, you got to give credit to the parity that's grown in the NBA, right? 8 different champions now in the last 8 years. Kind of shows you the quality of basketball you have. So it's inevitable that you should end up with what should be a good series when it's down to the last 2 teams. So I think it's just a slew of basically things that gave us, right, this good NBA Finals. But one thing you've got to take away, though, I love how hard most of the teams that went far in the playoffs, how hard they play. Right, and that's something that Joe Dumars preached. That's something we haven't seen here, if you want to make a comparison to New Orleans. Right, so you kind of know where New Orleans has to improve probably the most to get to this level of the Spurs. So regardless of talent, that's what you want to see because as we see depth and being able just to play hard on every possession seems to be more of a thing now than it was, just say, 10 years ago when you could write in the best player surrounded with some shooters, you're likely going to win the series. It's not like that anymore.
And a 94-90 final score of the clinching game does kind of point to that as well, how important the defensive aspect of it was. This Spurs team, look, on a lot of hands, we'll say, hey, they'll be back. They were ahead of schedule. This was their first go-around with it. But we also know that the Thunder aren't going anywhere in the West. There's a lot of other teams in the West that think they're going to be able to piece things together and contend in that conference. What's the main thing you think this Spurs team has to do other than, hey, they're all going to get a year older and have all the experience of what this playoff run was?
There's no doubt. It's just that growth factor. We're already hearing that the Spurs aren't even interested in moving De'Aaron Fox, who just seems to be the most likely trade candidate when you consider Dylan Harper's ready to be a starter. He looks like a future superstar in this league. With hearing that they're likely going to not want to move off De'Aaron Fox, I don't know how much improvement you can have if you're going to keep your core and then a guy who's going to be making, over $50 million in Fox next year. So it's just going to be rounding out the edges, just trying to find maybe a little bit more toughness, right? Because we saw it. When Wembanyama sat, the Spurs seemed to have really no chance, right? They really suffered both against the Thunder and the Knicks. So while, Cornette, I thought, did a wonderful job during the regular season, and he's definitely playable against a lot of teams. When it comes against the best, though, I think you probably need some more size that's more palatable, like, say, an Isaiah Hartenstein. I don't know who you can go and get like that, but that's probably what the Spurs are going to do. They're just going to round out, like I said, their edges, decide what they need to do with Harrison Barnes, who needs a new contract. Do you bring him back? And just add some more shooting.
On the other side of this, the Knicks, on one hand, look, they got it done and they got their title. So if they don't end up back in the mix, then they're still going to have this moment. But we always want to start to project, well, are they going to be back? What's the Eastern Conference going to look like? And we've seen now, even if we think a lot of these teams are going to be back in it, the Thunder should be back in the mix. We've had new champions. How many years in a row now, right? So what do you make of the Knicks trying to keep the remainder of this core? I mean, there's LeBron rumors floating around there, and now Giannis is going to be potentially on the move. What do you think of the Knicks roster and how much it might change?
I don't think they're going to change either, honestly. They've discovered the winning combination that they like, that they know they can trust their group will get up for big games. Right? That Villanova connection, it's fun to look at and examine it, but it's a real thing. I really believe it. I've heard about how in that locker room, how they were able to have tough conversations when they were down 2-1 to Atlanta. I heard that's what happened, and look how well they, responded to the basically that adversity. So you don't move off of a group that I just earlier said they're in their prime, all of them. Now I know they're richly paid, right? I think all their starters, when you include Josh Hart in that group, they all make at a minimum $20 million. So again, I don't know how you can honestly improve upon that without really going deep in the luxury tax. And while I've heard James Dolan, and he's never been shy about paying the tax, no team really wants to go above that second apron, right? Because all of a sudden you can't build a team out. You're suddenly restricted so much that you do need depth in this league to survive. So I don't think they'll go that route. So again, they're going to be honestly like the Spurs, but even more streamlined, I think. Right? You're going to look for the Landry Shamet, maybe some reclamation projects like that. We can bring them in cheap, like a Jose Alvarado, just to round out their bench because they've got really no capacity to add any big salary. Like you just mentioned LeBron. I think if they were to even add a LeBron, they would ask somebody like even of his caliber to take a significant pay cut because I just can't see them wanting to break up any part of that core anymore.
Ali Cassell is our guest. We are talking NBA here. Of course, the Knicks are your champions, and now the offseason comes into focus a little bit clearer. I turned the TV on yesterday, and I think it's funny. Obviously, it was a lot of talk about the Knicks, and then today, already a lot of that conversation had moved on to where's Giannis going to play next year and what's the next NBA offseason trend. So that's the nature of it. What do you see? Is it Giannis? What do you see maybe the first big domino of the official offseason being?
Oh, it has to be Giannis, right? Because Miami wants to bring in a star, and so they're in a holding pattern. So if they get their guy in Giannis, that probably changes, honestly, like, say, for instance, where John Morant might end up, right? Because otherwise they will chase him. Because, again, it's been said, right, out there, it's kind of public, that they want to bring in more names around Adebayo. So, yeah, Giannis is the one, like I said, that's the most interesting to me, simply because if the Bucks want what Miami is basically offering, that offer's on the table, they would have done it already. So the fact that they're still sniffing around the rest of the league echoes they're not happy with Miami, and that's a given, right? Remember the Damian Lillard experience? Portland wasn't too happy with what they might get back for Damian. That's why they didn't trade him there. So that's why I expect maybe Giannis to end up somewhere else. Strongly right now, the rumors are Boston's probably maybe going to make a move, right? And you saw the way Jaylen Brown and the Celtics kind of ended their season, kind of on different wavelengths, where, it was a disappointing loss, but yet Brown treated like a really great season, for instance. And he said some things on, what was on social media that they didn't like. So I'm very curious to see if that gets broken up, because then all of a sudden that's another piece on the board. So, yeah, Giannis, without a doubt, is that first giant domino.
What do you make of what's going on with Golden State? Because, we've talked for a long time about them kind of breaking that core up, and obviously they ended up getting their extra title in 22, but, Steph seems like he's cool with being a lifer there and maybe sitting through some tougher times, a la Kobe at the end of his Lakers tenure. Like, what do you think they maybe get aggressive and try and do something around Steph?
Yeah, they're going to do something, right? And they're in the mix, in my mind, for Trey Murphy. They've always been linked to him ever since he was coming out of the draft. I heard how they really liked him, but they decided to go with Moses Moody because they didn't think he'd be available, but he was, so they took him ahead of Murphy. But if they don't trade for, say, Murphy, we've heard what even LeBron, right, get kind of the old guys together on a team like the Olympics teams, how much success they had. Do you go that route? But they're going to do something. And I've got to expect they're going to keep Draymond there. They're going to keep Steph there. And I know they want to keep Jimmy Butler there. So all of a sudden that kind of really curtails their optionality, right? You can't build a team with 3 max players anymore. So they're going to be kind of going around the edges as well. But they're going to do something. But, yeah, you're right. Steph is going to finish his career there. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
And we lastly get to our New Orleans Pelicans, Ali. We know that, these next couple months are going to be very fascinating to see what Dumars and company do. And obviously now that Mosley's in place, he wants to do some evaluations. He's having conversations, I imagine, right now. You just alluded to Trey Murphy and, some of these other core pieces. What's your best guess on what this Pelicans offseason is going to look like?
Hey, it's going to be a busy one. You look at their top-paid players. Seems like Joe Dumars wants to give Zion some more leash. So then you naturally look down beyond him, and you especially look at the most coveted assets the Pelicans have. And without a doubt, that's Trey Murphy. Right? You're not moving Jeremiah Fears or Derek Queen, so I'm not going to count them. But after that, it has to be Trey Murphy. And there's been a lot of interest in him going back to last season once Joe Dumars took over the front office. So now what I'm kind of hearing is the fact that they're actually listening to offers now. It wasn't really on the table. They weren't really ready to move off of anybody, right, during this first year. It was more an evaluation period. And they still love Trey. There's no doubt. But I think if they get blown away by an offer, and I'm expecting them to receive such an offer, that they're likely going to move on from him, whether it's from to Detroit, right? Trajan Langdon likes him. I wouldn't be surprised if, say, Troy Weaver gets a couple of his old players here in return, like an Isaiah Stewart, maybe an Nasir Thompson. Maybe you have to throw a Herb Jones to make a deal like that work, right? But there's a lot of possibilities and optionality to where Joe Dumars could now, if you move it off of Trey Murphy, maybe another asset, you can build the team you kind of want, right? A more physically tough team, so you get that strong center you can trust, like an Isaiah Stewart. Maybe you can get back into this draft and chase who I really like if they want to go after somebody, Merez Johnson out of Michigan. He's kind of in that same mold. And then, of course, you can add some more shooting, take a stab on some younger guys. So you not only solve your center position, get tougher, but you also can look more to the future. That's undoubtedly going to be built now around Fears and Queen.
But is that the right move, Ollie? I mean, I just with what Trey Murphy provides you, and it feels to me like, especially on the offensive side, he's such an easy player to fit in around whoever else you end up building. Mm-hmm. And I know maybe the physicality level, the defense, and what Mosley's going to try and build, but I could factor in moving a guy like Herb Jones because of the limitations and some of these other players. I kind of thought Murphy, like you said, it sounds like it was their plan for a long time. But maybe Mosley doesn't feel that way. I just don't know if that's the right way to go about it.
No, I'm with you. And look, I mean, if you just want to look at, say, the numbers of when the Pelicans were at their best last season, it was honestly when Trey, Herb, and Sadiq Bey were on the court altogether. No, I'm not talking about Zion. So that's what's so peculiar to me is if you just want to look at it from like kind of a statistical analysis, those three guys you should probably keep together, right? Because otherwise you're going to be chasing, for instance, the next Trey Murphy. It's hard to find a shooter of his quality, at his length, that athleticism, able to do a lot of things. And you're right, he doesn't have that physicality. Maybe that's a really big strike against him for Joe Dumars' front office. But again, to replace that talent, it might take them 10, 20 years. So I'm with you. You know, I wouldn't want to see unless, boy, you could get a return that's, say, bigger than Desmond Bane, what Memphis got in return for him. I just don't know if that deal's out there. But if it is, maybe that's the only time you would probably maybe push the trigger. Because, again, you have to also wonder, Dawson, this team, this core just never really got going, right? Their positive impact in winning basketball games should have been there, we all think, right? Especially once DeJounte Murray got back, or you say you had Zion for 3/4 of the season. They just weren't winning games. So that's a problem. That tells you that your core just probably isn't good enough.
It is an interesting set of circumstances, and we will see what the Pels choose to do, who's in place this time in just a few months. Of course, we know the NBA offseason pretty short given how long the playoffs take. Ollie, appreciate your time as always. We'll catch up again soon.
Absolutely, Dawson. Take care. Stay dry, buddy.
Going to try to do that for sure. That's our friend Ollie Cassell talking NBA and talking Pelicans with us as always. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll wrap up the first hour after this. We do have action in Omaha right now. Troy and West Virginia are live. We've also got France and Senegal, which is one of the more intriguing games of the group stages. It's the first chance to see another one of the favorites in the whole World Cup tournament in France. That one's going to be kicking off in just about 15 minutes. So we'll get you set up for those after the break and set you up for hour two. It's LohDown.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Here at ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana sports station. We know you can't get enough sports in your life, so go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, ESPN_SWLA. Turn the bell on so you get notifications whenever new content goes up. That could be one of our podcasts, could be some of our original shorts, Foot's Friday Fury, and now it's also where you can stream all of our local shows live on YouTube every single day. So go ahead, subscribe. It's free to do so. You just got to find ESPN_SWLA and hit that subscribe button.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is your home for the Houston Astros.
And the Astros stun the Mariners.
Hunter Brown, Yordan Alvarez, and the rest of the Astros are looking to get back to the postseason. You can listen to every pitch, hit, and thrilling victory of the Houston Astros.
Incredible!
As Robert Ford and Steve Sparks will be on the call. Tune in this season for live Astros baseball on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3 gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
BB's Auto Sales has been serving Acadiana since 1966. Cleanest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Need financing? No problem. BB's offers easy financing for all credit types, including in-house financing. Plus, they're paying top dollar for your trade. Voted top 3 dealership in Community Choice Awards 2 years in a row. Visit BB's Auto Sales, 2 convenient locations off Johnston Street and in Abbeville. bbsautosales.com. Cleanest cars in Acadiana.
At Waterboys Water Well Services, we're more than just a quick fix. A handshake means more to us than a contract. From water treatment that protects your home and health to expert well drilling, pump installation, and maintenance, we've got your water covered. Cleaner, safer, better tasting water starts with trust and ends with Waterboys. Proudly serving Louisiana families with integrity and experience. Waterboys, high quality H2O products, 337-678-9955.
Looking for a spotless workplace? Variety Janitorial Services is your go-to. For office cleaning to stripping and floor waxing and carpet cleaning, your commercial space will look its best. Their reputation for perfection has grown throughout the entire Acadiana community. They deliver top-notch service with a commitment to excellence. Daily, weekly, or deep cleaning, trust the experts. Visit varietyjan.com today or call 337-298-8704 for a free quote. Variety Janitorial Services. We clean, you shine.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices.
To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
You're listening to ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles. Your home for the best local sports talk in Southwest Louisiana.
All right, we are back here on the LohDown as a Tuesday edition of the show rolls on. Hour number 1 is wrapping up. Still got about 5 minutes left, and then we'll have a full second hour for you. Keep in mind that second hour will be jam-packed. We have a conversation with our friend Chris Fissaro, who is working for the PGA Tour now. We'll talk some U.S. Open with Chris. We've got Brian Maggard, the Vice President for Intercollegiate Athletics at UL, coming up at 2:30. We've also got our red card rundown. We'll head over to the FIFA World Cup and give the latest on the happenings in that tournament. Speaking of which, as I mentioned, we've got a big-time matchup, at least a first opportunity to see one of the favorites in the entire event. Kylian Mbappe and France is going to take on Senegal. That one's starting in just about 7 minutes. France is a 1.5 favorites, so pretty significant favorites in this game individually. But Senegal, formidable opponent. They come in pretty good form. They played the USA to a 3-2 score in a friendly that the USA won back on May the 31st. So we'll see what Senegal can do up against France. As I mentioned, you've got Dembele, you've got Mbappe, you've got some big-time names that even somebody like me who doesn't follow the sport full-time is quite familiar with. Over in Omaha, College World Series action going on right now. If you're trying to keep track of everything, I'll give you a little update here. Troy and West Virginia still scoreless, top of the third. It's an elimination game. Winner of this one's going to see North Carolina again, and will have to beat the Tar Heels twice, once tomorrow and once Thursday if they get to that point. Troy's had a couple scoring opportunities, nothing huge though. West Virginia's been pitching it pretty well. West Virginia's had a couple more chances. They've got a runner at second right now with one out, but the Trojans so far have been able to get a couple of big-time strikeouts to get them out of some jams. So they're playing in the top half of the third. Still the very, very early stages, of course. Troy's going with the vest, by the way. We don't wear enough vests in baseball anymore. And so it was awesome. We had a vest-on-vest matchup the other day when Troy played West Virginia the first time. I'm all in on that. Let's get more vests back in college baseball. I think it's a good look. I will say Troy's vest they're wearing today, too many patches going on. It's not their fault because they got to fit the College World Series patch on there in addition to the Adidas and the Sunbelt and their number and their logo. Just a lot going on that vest there, and not as much material to utilize with. And next year with potential sponsor patches being thrown on there as well, it's great, right? Sponsors on our jerseys. That's what we wanted. Anyway, that kind of leads us right into our poll question of the day today, because we're asking you about jerseys. I'm a jersey aficionado. I obsess about these things more than I probably should. Our guy BP's bringing in soccer. They call them kits as well. Soccer kits. We got one on Messi, covering him up. No support for Argentina here. We're going strictly Team USA the rest of the way. I can respect that. So this was BP's little baby here, this question. What's the best U.S. men's national team jersey of all time? You've got the 2020-12 jersey which is what I voted for. You got the 1994 jersey. You've got the 2010, the 2014. I guess he doesn't like this year's. He didn't include it as an option. So I picked 2012. I just think it's classic. Look, the American flag, it's a good flag. There's a lot of good international flags out there. As you get a good look, by the way, if you're watching on the YouTube, we're playing around with some new stuff on the simulcast as well, trying to make this a more visually appealing show. I like the stripe because it incorporates the flag design, so I'm in on what they did in 2012. I'm not a huge fan, to be honest with you, on the 2010 kit. That's Clint Dempsey, I believe, wearing it. Because you just kind of got this random white stripe coming out of nowhere from the corner of the sleeve. So I'm out on that one. We've also got Dempsey modeling the 2014 one, which I don't hate because we get the red, white, and blue incorporated. It doesn't really look like our blue, though. You know, the American flag blue is a little more navy than that. So that's my one complaint there. And then, look, I understand 1994 was a different time. That was kind of the U.S.'s, introduction back into the World Cup stage where they actually were like, hey, we're going to try and play soccer again. So I'm in on that. You got the big stars, but it's clearly got a retro vibe to it. So I don't hate that. 94 would have probably been my runner-up, but I'm going with 2012. And I think there's actually a couple other options, maybe even from a different year that wasn't included here. I think some honorable mentions could be mentioned here, but we let Blake pick the option. So there you go. There's the 4. So now we'll be doing that from time to time, maybe incorporating a little bit of some pictures on our poll questions. You check those out on social media. Leave your comments as well. Ton says of these, 1994. Ralph agrees with him. And then Kai says 2014. So we've got some, and the voting's pretty much split down the middle so far in every direction. So no clear winner so far. I'm sticking with 2012. We'll see if I change my mind. I'm also interested to see what the next one's going to look like. I've seen pictures of it, but when they wear the road kit in the World Cup here at some point, I'll be interested to see what that one looks like as well. But regardless, we've got 1 hour left to go. We got 2 guests, as we mentioned. We'll start the second hour talking U.S. Open with our friend Chris Fusaro. It is at Shinnecock. It is officially U.S. Open week. We're only 2 days away from getting it started and underway. So Chris joins us to start the second hour. Stay tuned. We got a lot coming up here on the LohDown.
Home electrical safety, up next from Mr. Electric. Because one power strip can clearly handle your TV, your radio, your lamp, your phone charger, your heater, and whatever else you get plugged in there. Of course, that's sarcasm. Do not overload your outlets and never run cords under rugs or furniture. And if an outlet is hot, a breaker keeps tripping, or something smells suspiciously bad, call a licensed electrician. When it comes to electricity, trying to be a hero is a great way to end up in the news for the wrong reason.
If you would like to learn more, visit MrElectric.com.
It's generator season. Here's Sean Doré with Mr. Electric.
Standby generators are automatic. These come on right as your power's off. Right when you lose power, here comes your generator power within less than a minute. And now you're running like normal. And so those generators, they're a little more expensive, but they are very convenient.
Call Mr. Electric today or see us on Facebook.
Your Honor, I would like to introduce exhibit number 1.
MeTV is America's #1 classic television network.
There can only be one #1, me.
MeTV features over 60 of the greatest classic TV series each week.
Go with the winner.
Enjoy dramas, comedies, westerns, sci-fi, and more.
You just watch me.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette. KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
I'm Christine Lisi. Chiefs receiver Rashee Rice released from a Dallas County jail today after serving a 30-day sentence for violating terms of his probation, which stemmed from his role in a 2024 car crash that left multiple people injured on a Texas highway. Rice, who had a procedure done on his right knee before serving his sentence, is expected to report to training camp on time at the end of next month. When it comes to contract negotiations between the Buccaneers and quarterback Baker Mayfield, not much has changed over the last 2 weeks, according to Mayfield himself.
Oh, pretty much the same, but for me, like I told you guys, it's not going to affect how I approach this. Things will happen when they should, but for now, I'm worried about getting better each day, finishing minicamp and this offseason program the right way, and going into training camp. So, yeah, just handle it one day at a time.
The 31-year-old Mayfield is entering the final year of a 3-year deal. He's currently the 16th highest paid QB in the league and wants his next contract to reflect the production he has shown over the last couple of years. NHL John Tortorella will not return as head coach of the Golden Knights. Sources tell ESPN that he would like to coach in the NHL next season.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Wednesday, Brian Windhorst drops his top 6 storylines that already are shaping the NBA offseason. I'll tell you which one intrigues me the most. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown. It is hour number 2 of 2 here on a Tuesday edition of the show. ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette, 104.1 in Lake Charles. Anywhere you are, of course, the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, and now streaming it live on our YouTube channel every single day. We have got a lot left to get to. I've already had a lot of conversation here, talking more about the NBA. We had our friend Ali Cassell on about a half hour ago. We will have the Vice President, Intercollegiate Athletics, Brian Maggard, talking some UL in about half an hour. We'll do a lot on the new stadium renovations that happened last year at Our Lady of Lourdes Stadium, the next phase of that, when it's coming, baseball stadium stuff, and then, of course, his appointment to the College Football Playoff Committee. I'm looking forward to catching up with Dr. Maggard. It's been a while since we've had him here on the program. But we are going to start off this second hour heading over to the golf world. The U.S. Open is just a couple days away from getting going at Shinnecock. The PGA Championship, golf's first major of the year, took place, or second major of the year, I should say, most recently, about a month back. And our friend Chris Fusaro was a big part of that, of course. He's now got a new gig, and we're excited to welcome him back. So, Chris, what's going on, my friend?
What's going on, Dawson? How are we?
I am tremendous. I got an opportunity, obviously, to go to the PGA this year. It was my second time getting to see it. You're, of course, or you were, incredibly involved on the back end of all that stuff and hospitality and everything, making it go well. So, man, just give me the recap. Obviously, the golf itself, we know how that went down, but what was the experience like for you from everything taking place up in Philly?
Yeah, unbelievable experience. Probably the best PGA Championship that I was fortunate enough to be a part of over the course of 4 years, and the competition was unbelievable. I think we saw a golf course that held up to the best players in the world, and it didn't have to be 7,800 yards. So we were very fortunate. But yeah, so I was lucky to be a part of the PGA of America team up there, and then, as you mentioned, kind of transitioned to a new role, but heck of a PGA Championship to go out on.
No doubt. And obviously some of the storylines of that tournament are going to carry over, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But it is cool. You are now with the PGA Tour, so there's some other opportunities, and we'll certainly have you on to talk about those things as well. But, man, this is an interesting time of the year, right, where the U.S. Open rolls in. You get to the dog days of summer, right? This year we're headed back to Shinnecock, which I love. And I know you're a fan as well, and you talked about it. Aronimink, look, a lot of people questioned whether or not Aronimink was going to hold up. It held up, and then some. And Aaron Rai was the guy who conquered it of all people. I don't think there's any doubt that people think Shinnecock's going to hold up. And the last time it was held there, I mean, it was an all-out war, it felt like, with Brooks Koepka hanging around and trying to be the one to conquer it. What do you make of headed back to Shinnecock this time around?
I am so excited. I think I was looking at a list of future and the past few U.S. Open venues yesterday, and I have a hard time wrapping my head around any that are better than Shinnecock Hills. And, Pebble Beach is probably the most nostalgic and probably the most beautiful, but from a pure brute golf standpoint, we want to see these guys get humbled. And I think it's just really fun to mix it up. And I think Shinnecock is a perfect place. It has its other logistical challenges. If you go look at Josh Carpenter from Sports Business Journal's tweets from this morning, I don't think it was very smooth getting there for the media, and it's only Tuesday. But the golf course itself is going to be unbelievable. And something that Kevin Foote from Footnotes would say, about the Superdome, Caesar Superdome, there is the absence of wind. There is not that at Shinnecock Hills. There's a lot of wind. And some people are already saying the 11th green is unplayable, and it's only Tuesday afternoon.
That is an incredible reference for those of you who know that Kevin Foote thinks that kickers should make field goals when there's an absence of wind, which is what the Dome provides. And look, the last time it was here, it's 18. Koepka wins it at a score of 1 over. That tournament, that was the crazy, Fleetwood making the charge, shooting 7 under, just was ridiculous in the final round in the morning. And I mean, that stuff's always in play. Now we know, we'll see what the weather looks like as we talk about it, but the morning, and this is one of those courses, Chris, too, where your early, late draws could end up being, that could be a big advantage, or whichever side of the draws. And what I like too, you get to the weekend, a guy could be 8 or 9 shots back, and if you get some favorable conditions in the morning, now you can jumble that leaderboard up. It just, as you said, I think in a lot of ways it is one of the ideal major championship venues that we go to.
Yeah, and that happened exactly the same way in 2018. Tony Finau and Daniel Berger went out on Saturday morning. They both shot 66, and then it gusted 30 to 35 miles in the afternoon. It was hang on for dear life. Dustin Johnson shot 77 or 78. He was in the lead by 3 or 4 going into the weekend. Anything can happen. Like you mentioned, Tommy Fleetwood at the time matched the major championship record for low round at 63. And if he didn't shoot 78 on Saturday, he would have won the thing. So there's so many factors especially when you're dealing with wind, and we don't see it as much over at the the Open Championship, played in multiple countries now. We don't see it as much over there just because the scores do tend to be a little bit lower naturally, even though there is that large amount of fescue grass at all of their venues once you miss the fairway. So I think you see this at a U.S. Open where the draws really matter. And I would argue probably more than any major championship of the 4, I would say hands down draws matter the most at a U.S. Open just because of these factors that you don't know what's going to change from 8 a.m. all the way to 6 or 7 p.m. when these later groups are finishing.
Yeah, and a couple other numbers to throw in there. You had a golfer in 18 when it was at Shinnecock, a golfer make the cut in On who shot 26 over by the time the tournament was over. Multiple guys that were 20 over. Ricky Fowler, my guy, was 11 over for the tournament and yet shot 5 under on Sunday, so was 16 over entering that day. And then, of course, you had an over par champion with Koepka shooting that final round at 2 under, but finishing at +1 and winning it. And that was, of course, when Koepka was on an all-time heater. Koepka will be there. We'll see what he can do, but there's obviously going to be a ton of attention on Scottie Scheffler, who has not had the year that we thought he might have. And there's been some questions about, and he got a little testy with the media last time out, and some things we're not used to seeing with Scottie. What do you make about the world's #1 golfer and the form he comes into Shinnecock with?
Yeah, it's funny in so many ways that seeing Scottie be a bit more human, get a bit more frustrated, but at the same time he's number 2 in the FedEx Cup rankings. He's had a fantastic year in a lot of ways. Hasn't translated to wins, but he's still been top 5, top 10s very consistently. He has had a few more T25s maybe than he has the past 3 or 4 years. But I don't know. I think, at Memorial, a place that he dominated at Jack's Place the past 2 years, he couldn't figure out one thing to me, and it was wind. It was really gusting, especially Friday and Saturday. There were some afternoon storms rolling in, and it was just baffling him in so many ways. So I don't know if that's a good omen for this week. But I also think Scottie Scheffler, he's the most talented player on the planet from a consistency standpoint. I do think there's one other player who can match him from a talent standpoint, and that is Rory McIlroy, and we can talk about him a little bit as well. But I think pound for pound, Scottie is that consistency. And when he's facing some factors that he's not comfortable with, especially wind, you don't know what you're going to get. I think Shinnecock is probably a bit more similar to a Pinehurst number 2 in terms of U.S. Open venue. Scottie really struggled there in 24, and he was fantastic in every other event in 2024. So I don't know if that's the sign of things to come, but we'll see.
It is interesting. You allude to Rory there. Even the guys that we've seen win at Shinnecock in the past, it's not a lot of your all-timers, right? It's, Corey Pavin in 95. You had Retief Goosen in 04. Now, Koepka was, arguably one of the best players, if not the best in the world when he won it. He went back-to-back in 17 and 18. But we've also seen the U.S. Open in recent years provide some handful of random winners, right? Your Webb Simpsons, your Martin Keimers, your Wyndham Clarks, J.J. Spahns of the world. So I don't know. It feels to me like a week where you could have one of those guys kind of rise to the top that we think of every week, and it also could be somebody in the middle of the pack that we're not going to give a whole lot of attention to beforehand.
Yeah, for sure. I did see an interesting stat this morning as well that past 3 United States Open champions have all been ranked 9th in the world coming into the event. That would be Wyndham Clark, Bryson DeChambeau, and J.J. Spahn. It is kind of tough to think about Wyndham Clark and J.J. Spahn both as the 9th ranked player in the world coming into those events, but they had great years outside of that and tournaments kind of leading in. Wyndham Clark won at Quail Hollow with the Wells Fargo, now the Truist Championship. J.J. Spahn almost won the Players Championship. So these guys had momentum. So I think this is kind of you're looking for a guy who maybe is playing really good golf, may not have won. J.J. Spahn didn't win last year until Oakmont. Really looking for something to find in these guys that says, hey, they're trending in the right direction, but they may not be an A or an A- list player.
One of my favorite questions to ask, this guy or the field. So if I were to give you, Chris, Scottie Scheffler, I'll give you Rory McIlroy. You taking those two, or you taking the rest of the field here at the U.S. Open?
Oh, you know how hard it is to differentiate from that. But I go back, U.S. Open winners, really kind of back to Brooks Koepka in 2017. You mentioned the J.J. Spahns, the Brysons, Wyndham Clark, but Matt Fitzpatrick in 22, John Rahm, a young John Rahm in 21, Bryson in 2020, Gary Woodland. These guys that have won have not necessarily been the best pound-for-pound player in the world coming in. So pains me to say it, but I think at this venue this week, I'll take the field.
And if you are taking one winner, Chris, I'll now put you on the double spot here. Who you got?
There is, I've kind of been thinking about who is the PGA Tour Player of the Year. That's one thing that I saw Rich Lerner and Brandon Chambly mention the other night on Live from Shinnecock. And I think at this point it is Matthew Fitzpatrick. And I think Matthew Fitzpatrick is going to win the U.S. Open this week. I don't know kind of what drives me that direction other than he has been so consistent all year. He's English. He kind of deals with this wind back home when he plays and has played well overall the DP World over time. Hasn't played that well in an Open Championship to this point, which is kind of surprising. But he had a great Sunday in Canada last week. Hopefully he doesn't run out of gas. But yeah, I'm going Matt Fitzpatrick.
I like the pick, and I like the analysis. Chris, appreciate your time as always, my friend. We will talk again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Austin. Appreciate it.
There you go, Chris Fusaro. With mixing in a Kevin Foote reference for you, you just never know what Chris is going to bring to the table. That's why we have him on when golf's biggest tournaments come around. All right, we will go ahead and take a timeout. We got to head back to the pitch. We go from the golf course to the soccer pitch. Red card rundown when we return. It's a Tuesday on the LohDown. Don't go anywhere.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Small Sliders of Lafayette, our friends over at Smalls have had a ton of great stuff in the works. We told you yesterday about the loyalty program. Get on that. If you want to join that loyalty program, get rewarded every time you go. Turn that in for some free stuff. You can do so with the Smalls app and smallsliders.com. You can also use that website to order ahead, skip the wait, pick it up. If you've got a big party coming up, you want them to take care of the catering for you, they'll do it. They'll have those trays of sliders. They'll have trays of fries, anything you need. Obviously, it's a summertime. We're having all kinds of parties. America's 250th. Got all these birthday celebrations going on. So take the guesswork out of the food portion of your party. Let Small Sliders handle it. That's what they're there for. Tell them D-Loh sent you, smallsliders.com. Of course, 2 locations here in the area, one on Ambassador Caffrey, the other on Bertrand Drive. It's Small Sliders. Slide through today.
From Tiger Stadium to the Texas state line, ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles is your home for live and local sports talk in Southwest Louisiana. We're your official home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros. ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles also tackles the latest involving the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, McNeese Cowboys, and New Orleans Saints. So keep it locked right here. ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Everybody's talking about the big, beautiful bill, and it's game-changing for taxpayers. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. We've read the bill, and if you've been putting off a tax problem, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and get it resolved. This new legislation could give you a chance to get things straight with the IRS. Whether it's getting caught up on unfiled returns or negotiating IRS debts, there are a lot of new deductions and opportunities in the big, beautiful bill, and the Bryson Law Firm knows how to use them strategically. We've been staying on top of the tax changes in the big, beautiful bill, and we're ready to help our clients take full advantage. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Remember, if you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit brysonlawfirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm. The Bryson Law Firm. LSP filing number LA2519079.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3-gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
This is your Chiropractic Expert Minute, brought to you by Dr. Quentin Briscoe, chiropractic physician.
Hello, I'm Dr. Quentin Briscoe. Veterans, are you struggling with chronic back pain, neck issues, or reduced mobility? You're not alone, and you have options. Chiropractic care is part of your VA health benefits, and at Briscoe Chiropractic, we specialize in non-surgical, drug-free solutions to help manage your pain and improve your well-being. We are proud to work with the VA Community Care Network. Let us help you regain your mobility and enjoy the active life you deserve. In addition to the VA Community Care Network, we are also in network with Blue Cross Blue Shield and Aetna. We accept motor vehicle accidents and workman's comp cases.
To schedule an appointment with Briscoe Chiropractic, visit drqmb.com or call 337-534-0091. That's drqmb.com or 337-534-0091, because your spine deserves expert care.
D-Loh stays locked in on a lot of sports. Soccer just isn't one of them, except when the World Cup comes around. It's time to head to the pitch for today's Red Card Rundown.
Oh, we are back. It is the Red Card Rundown. That is right. We are, look, I'm all the way back in it now. I'll tell you what I did. I fired up, well, it's not called FIFA anymore, whatever the soccer video game's called. We got name disputes. And, you know, look, a lot of people don't know this about me. There was a time where FIFA was kind of my thing. You know, I was pretty good at it. I didn't like soccer that much, but I liked FIFA. And I'd play against my soccer buddies, and that's what would really tick them off, is because I was actually really good at it. I was what you would call a defensive specialist. So anyway, fired it up last night, and like my wife's seen me play a lot of different video games, right? You know, usually I'm a Madden, I'm a college football, MLB The Show, you know, golf, NASCAR, like all the sports games. You know, I'll fire up a GTA every now and again. And I just was like, oh, look, I'm gonna download this game. And I started playing it, and I was just kind of going to work on Australia right away. And she was like, how are you good at this? You've never played it before. I was like, oh, but I have. You don't know everything about me. There was a past life where I was kind of a FIFA guy. I'd win a lot. So that was fun. Man, I got back in. I was like, man, I'm going to do a whole World Cup playthrough. Although it's funny, it's not called the World Cup on there because, again, they don't have any of the rights anymore. So it's called the World's Game. But anyway, that had me even more fired up because I was using Team USA. I was using Pulisic. Couple goals scored there. I was like, we're rolling. We're rolling. Good luck, Australia. Not a good day to be Australian on Friday. But with all that being said, more World Cup action yesterday. It was actually a pretty exciting day. I know there were 4 draws. I know. But Cape Verde, we already talked about it. One of the greatest accomplishments in recent World Cup history is them scoring a point on Spain, on one of the world favorites, on the reigning EuroLeague champions, and doing so in a 0-0 draw. That was incredibly impressive for a country of 500,000 people against a country of 50 million. Talked about that yesterday. The next match, Belgium and Egypt. I talked about Belgium, how I kind of root for them. I'm not Belgian at all. It would be a long story to explain why. So the point is I just, I got a little interest there. They're down 1-0 to Egypt, who has Mo Salah, who is obviously a name that a lot of people will probably know, but Egypt has never won a World Cup match straight up. They're up 1-0. Looks like they might. Belgium, one of their best players, is Lukaku. Lukaku, though, has been a little banged up, so they didn't want to use him. They bring him in the 65th minute, and literally 25 seconds into him being on the pitch, he doesn't technically score a goal. It was an own goal, but he forced it. Lukaku forces the goal. It was incredible. It was wild that he comes in the game and 25 seconds later, Belgium gets the equalizer, 1-1. Couple other chances down the stretch, but they couldn't get it in. So 1-1, a draw there. Saudi Arabia and Uruguay played to a 1-1 draw. Fun fact for you about Uruguay. There's only a handful of countries that have ever won a FIFA World Cup, and Uruguay is one of them. Kind of the smallest country to have ever gotten it done. They played Saudi Arabia to a 1-1 draw. I think that was at least slightly surprising. Uruguay did have a big advantage in expected goals. They were a 1.5 goal favorite in this one, but Saudi Arabia grabbed a point, which was a big result for them. And then in the finale, Iran and New Zealand, if you like goals and you like some intrigue, back and forth they went. New Zealand scored in the 7th minute. Then Iran equalized it once. New Zealand scored again to go up 2-1. Iran with the equalizer yet again. Of course, Iran could potentially match up with the U.S. in the knockout stage, given the state of political affairs. That would have a few extra layers of intrigue to it. But regardless, Iran scores themselves a point on New Zealand. As far as who was maybe expected to win that game, by the way, it was much, it was considered to be a close match. Iran was just a half-goal favorite. So 4 draws yesterday. That leads us into today. As we mentioned, France and Senegal, they are underway. I've had this on for a few minutes now. I don't have any hard-hitting analysis for you, although I do know Mbappe is one of the best players in the world. He is on the French team. They have done this before. They are always one of the world powers, and they are expected to be in contention to win this whole World Cup. Senegal, sneaky tough matchup for them early on. Senegal's a decent team. So far, no goals have been scored. It is 0-0, and they are playing into the 21st minute right now. And I do think I've enjoyed the World Cup coverage. One thing I'd like, can we get a little bit of a better description of where these matches are being played from Fox? Something on the scoreboard, something on the scorebug, maybe just better signage around these venues, although I know they also don't want to say what the name of the stadium is if the sponsor isn't affiliated with FIFA, which is their own thing, and regardless, whatever, I'm over that. But at least give me the city. I did look it up, though. This game's being played at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford. This is, of course, the site of the championship match, the gold medal match, which is been met with mixed reviews. And I would probably agree. There's more beautiful stadiums in the U.S. and elsewhere to host the gold medal match than one that's actually made fun of all the time in the NFL. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So that match is going down right now in New York, New Jersey. Speaking's been hard today. I was talking to James off air. Sometimes there's days where your tongue and your mouth is not on the same wavelength. Thoughts are going, they're firing. I got good things to say. Mouth's like, I got to be part of that execution of that whole plan, and I'm not on board with it. So we're going to try and speak a little bit more effectively the rest of the show today. We got 35 more minutes. I think we can get through it. The rest of the day, Iraq will face Norway at 5 p.m. That match is taking place at Gillette Stadium in Massachusetts, home of the New England Patriots. Argentina, another one of the favorites, of course, who enters in good form. They've won 5 straight. They face Algeria. It is Lionel Messi's last World Cup, so that one's got all kinds of excitement. And then, can't tell you I'm going to be awake for this one, but at 11 o'clock on FS1, Austria plays Jordan. If you're really needing your soccer fix and you're going to be up late tonight, that is an 11 o'clock start because it is being played. Actually, no, it's in Santa Clara, so I don't know. I thought maybe it would be in a different time zone in Mexico or Canada, but I guess it is the West Coast, so it's only an 8 o'clock start there. But it's an 11 p.m. kickoff for us back here in the Central Time Zone between Austria and Jordan. We got a full quadruple header again tomorrow as well with some more of the headliners taking to the pitch. So as we go on, man, Mbappe's fun to watch. Dude just glides across the field. He is so fast. But with all that being said, over in the College World Series, want to keep you up to date over there. The last time we talked to you, it was still a scoreless tie. West Virginia has gotten themselves on the board. They scored a pair of runs. They got one on an RBI double. They got another on a wild pitch, which was it was a great read by Graveline, the guy who hit the RBI double, because he did a nice job. It didn't get very far away from the catcher for Troy, but it was just far enough for him to score. So again, Troy's defensively, all 3 games in this World Series so far for Troy, they've had some defensive miscues that have led to the opposition scoring. So far, they haven't been able to score themselves in this game. So they're playing in the top half of the 4th right now. West Virginia's got a runner on second with 1 out, leading already 2-0. Remember, the winner of that one is going to face North Carolina, who is currently sitting pretty waiting for them. And the winner of this game will have to beat North Carolina twice if they wish to advance to the Men's College World Series finals. All right, I think we're officially caught up on everything that's happening in the world right now. Let's go ahead and take a timeout. When we return, I've had Dr. Maggard on the show a couple times before. Always appreciate him for coming on. It is a busy time of the year, even when it's like kind of the unofficial offseason for him. He's got some stuff going on, so appreciate him for taking some time out to talk to us. We're going to talk stadium renovations. We're going to talk program momentum, state of college athletics. He's on the board now, the College Football Playoff Committee, so I want to get his thoughts on that. We'll just have kind of a catch-up with Dr. Maggard over at UL. We'll do that after the break. This is the LohDown, ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station. Stay tuned.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros were crushed last night at home, 9-3 by the Detroit Tigers. Kaiwei Ting went 3 1/3, giving up 5 runs on 6 hits with 3 home runs, but did manage to strike out 9. Game 2 will be tonight, and it'll be Hunter Brown on the mound taking on his old teammate in Framber Valdez. First pitch is at 7:10 p.m., and you can listen to it on News Talk 98.5 FM and 1520 AM. Around the AL West, the Minnesota Twins defeated the Texas Rangers 4-2. The Athletics beat the Pirates 11-2, and the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Angels 4-3. With those results, Seattle still sits in first place with Houston 4.5 games back in 4th. In the Men's College World Series, the University of Texas eliminated the Alabama Crimson Tide after beating them 14-2 yesterday afternoon. Then Oklahoma beat Georgia 4-3 to set up an elimination game between Texas and Georgia tonight at 7 p.m. Also in the College World Series today, on the other side of the bracket, West Virginia will meet Troy in an elimination game at 1 p.m. today in Omaha. After a lengthy legal battle, it was revealed yesterday that Brennan Sorsby will be applying to the NFL supplemental draft and continuing to try to play his college career with Texas Tech. The deadline for the supplemental draft for the NFL is June 22nd. Day 6 of the FIFA World Cup begins today with another full slate of matches. France will play Senegal at 2 p.m., then Iraq will play Norway at 5 p.m., defending champions Argentina will face Algeria at 8 p.m., and then the late kick will be Austria squaring off with Jordan at 11 p.m. I'm Blake Purser, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Row coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
I've been driving trucks for a long time. Safety is my #1 priority. I know that my truck has huge blind spots. That's why I remember to check my mirrors often for smaller vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Since 1958, Alamo Glass has been serving Acadiana's glass needs. Alamo Glass does outstanding work on residential windows, custom shower doors, mirrors, custom framing, commercial storefronts, and door repairs. Alamo Glass also carries plexiglass and Lexan. Need a windshield or rock chip repair? Alamo Glass offers free mobile service as well as free estimates on any of your glass projects. Call Alamo Glass, 1220 Bertrand Drive, or call 233-8811. Need glass? Call Alamo Glass.
Black's Outdoor and Marine is Acadiana's Spartan Mower headquarters. Spartan Mowers delivering more mowing power and performance. Black's has commercial and residential Spartan mowers with Kawasaki motors in stock now and ready to cut. Black's also has parts, service, and financing available. Call 337-233-4272. That's 337-233-4272 or stop by 1423 Northwest Evangeline Thruway in Lafayette. Black's Outdoor and Marine serving Acadiana since 1968.
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV.
Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
You're listening to the 2026 LAB Award winner for Radio Young Professional of the Year, Dawson Iserloh, the host of the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
We welcome you back into the LohDown Tuesday edition of the show, ESPN Southwest Louisiana. And we have with us the Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics with UL, Dr. Brian Maggard. First off, Dr. Maggard, thank you for making time for us.
It's my pleasure. Looking forward to catching up.
Is the summer, does it slow down for you the way it seems like when you get a break, at least from the athletics going on at the school?
And that's about the only slowdown. You know, your evenings and weekends free up, which is nice. But at the same time, you do kind of miss the competition side of things. But no, it slows down in that regard. It probably feels a little bit more like a regular work week, you know, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 type thing. But we're plenty busy during those working hours, really tying things up, you know, from the previous competitive seasons and getting ready for the upcoming academic year.
Let's talk about this past year. You know, it was interesting. There was obviously some ups and downs with the seasons that happened, and football was down, then they finished strong, and basketball certainly had a rough go of it. But man, baseball at the end had to get the momentum going into the off season. So just, I know it's got to be tough to, you know, especially from your perspective, where you're maybe living in the successes of one program and then the struggles of another day in and day out. What was this year like for you?
Yeah, you know, I think I was certainly very proud of the job that our football program did, you know, having a 2-6 record at one time and winning 4 straight to get to our 8th consecutive bowl game. That was huge. Obviously, we had a fantastic first year in the brand new Our Lady of Lords Stadium. That facility was extremely well received by the community and the public and the ticket holders. And so, that went over unbelievably well. So that was a big positive for us. You always want to finish the year, winning a bowl game. We did not. We fell short. But again, was still very proud of, winning those 4 straight final games to become bowl eligible again. Basketball, you know that you were just injuries away, from, I think, having a really good first year for Coach White and his program, and certainly very excited about getting all the guys healthy again and all the newcomers that are coming in. So I greatly look forward to, next year in men's basketball. And same on the women's basketball side. Coach Broadhead had a really tough go this past year. We were down some staff, and that all makes a difference, right? And so really excited to see what he and his team and program will put together, for this next season. And then to your point, I don't want to discount our 2 tennis programs had really good seasons. They really did. Women's tennis had probably the best season in program history. The men were extremely competitive. And then, softball, again, we had some really big wins. That was a program that was up and down throughout. We'd win some big games, we'd drop some. Certainly, we were even at a point there, Dawson, where, we were fighting to make the tournament, the postseason tournament that we were hosting. But was really proud of the fight that the team displayed in the last part of the season to get that seed to make sure we're there. Track and field, Coach Battle and his crew continue to do a fantastic job. We had, a number of both indoor and outdoor individual champions in the Sun Belt. We had a young man go to nationals. And so, overall a successful year. I think we finished second place in one of the teams, and I don't remember exact finishes at the Sun Belt Championship, but they were strong showings, for both of them. And so, and then baseball, baseball had for me, a much needed good year for not just the baseball program, but for our department, our university, and the community. And I told Coach Diggs that, at the after the game, in Starkville, but we just really proud of that program and what they accomplished. It was, you alluded to this, that was kind of the shot in the arm I think we needed to propel into next year.
Along those same lines, the excitement level that I've noticed, we've seen, and I keep using the caveat, the portal's open for 2 more weeks, so we know things can change, but a lot of guys who have already decided and made announcements that they want to be back and a part of the program again on the baseball side of it. We've even seen that in football. UL has really lost a lot less than most programs, in the Sun Belt and around the country. And I just kind of keep thinking in the new era of collegiate athletics, there's got to be something that you can cling to. And I'm wondering if it's, I know it depends on the program and the situation and the finances and all that stuff, but the culture that UL builds, it feels like is being dug into by almost every coach on campus of saying, hey, we're going to do it a little different. We're going to bring in high school talent. We're going to work hard to make sure they love it enough that they don't want to leave, even if they have maybe opportunities to go elsewhere.
100%. I think that retention, I give full credit to the coaches on that. They're creating and have established cultures that make our young people want to stay. And look, it's a very transient industry now, right? For both coaches and student athletes. And, particularly in those 2 sports that you mentioned, football and baseball, we're doing fantastic jobs in retaining our student athletes, even if it's just for 1 more year, right? We're finding good talent, we're developing it, and I think we're starting to see that we're being able to maximize the stay, so to speak. And as we continue to find ways to provide more revenue share opportunities, more third-party NIL dollars, more scholarships, particularly like in the sports of baseball and softball, right? I think we're going to continue to only see greater retention moving forward.
We mentioned the success of Our Lady of Lords Stadium opening up, and I know obviously that project has more phases to it. Just what is the latest on kind of when stuff like that's going to happen, just to keep people in the loop on, I know that this season's going to happen and then stuff's going to go down after the fact. So what's the latest on the future phases for the stadium?
Yeah, I think at the end of the 26 season, we'll see a little bit of activity on that east side. I can't tell you exactly what that will be just yet, but I do think there'll be some movement, and it could be small, right? And the untrained eye may not notice it, but I think some type of activity will occur. We anticipate, though, that the bulk of that movement will happen after the 2027 season.
And, I guess the baseball projects are a little different because a lot of those have to do with the Diamond Club. But, what is the latest too on that clubhouse project and just what Russo Park might look like?
Well, we're in the what I would call the final phases of fundraising for the baseball clubhouse. We have some current asks out there that we're waiting to hear back from, and we have a couple more asks to make. And once we nail down those monies, both cash in hand and pledges, that's when we'll really start to look at and formulate a plan to get that started. You've probably seen some talk about moving the outfield fence in. We're really considering that and seeing what we can do to make that happen as well. That would be more of a, get that done now for the next season. The clubhouse, obviously, we don't anticipate that being ready for the 26-27 season, but very hopeful that can be done for the 27-28 season. And then we're working pretty diligently right now on trying to secure a funding plan for a new video board, scoreboard for baseball. So a lot going on in that sport. The momentum is very strong, and that's a credit to Coach Deggs and his program. But you want to strike while the irons are hot, and right now we think the irons are quite hot in that sport.
Yeah, I wanted to ask as well, and I know, look, a lot of this is out of the definite control of us. You got to wait and see what the team looks like. But the idea of hosting venues, hosting regionals, supers, we saw what Troy pulled off. They brought in all these temporary seating areas. They had 7,000. I just couldn't help but think about the idea of getting a regional back in that ballpark and what the atmosphere would be like. I don't think we have any doubt it'd be incredible. But man, it'd be awesome if that's something that happens in the near future. And of course, you got to win a lot of games to make that a possibility.
Yeah, no question. I mean, that's our goal, right? We want to host a regional. We want to host a super. We've done a tremendous job with getting to postseason play, right? But now, we want to host. And to your point, we know it would be an electrifying atmosphere here. A great really accentuate our facility and to make sure that we, provide a good experience for the fans.
Dr. Brian Maggard is our guest here on the show. I want to move to something else. You got a chance to be appointed to the College Football Playoff Committee, and I was actually reminded by that. I saw a billboard around the other day. I said, that's right.
I didn't know that was still up. I need to get him to take that now.
No, it's good. It's good advertisement. Just how does that even come about? Is that something you were approached about? Did you go to them? And what was kind of the origins of those conversations?
Right. So the way it works is it's a 13-member committee. And for the conferences, both the P4 and the group of 6, it works on a rotational basis. And so for this particular season, so to speak, or the next 3 years, the Sun Belt Conference is on a rotation. And so was approached by and ultimately chosen by our commissioner, Keith Gill, to represent the Sun Belt Conference. And then ultimately, the CFP organization itself has to approve that. So that's the kind of way that works.
What is, and I remember you speaking about it and you were excited, honestly, to sit through and learn about some of this stuff and what these conversations are going to be like. I imagine a bulk of the work is going to happen once the games start going on, but what is the preparation like for you? How often do you guys meet? Is it just, hey, we'll see you in the fall? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So actually, we had our first meeting, I believe it was in the month of May in Nashville. That was kind of an introductory meeting, for the 3 new members, myself, Gus Malzahn, and Jeff Tedford, the 2 new coaches, to meet with the rest of the committee and the CFP staff. But again, just more introductory and, covering some of the basics. We will have a meeting in early August, and that's, I think, where the nuts and bolts start to really hone in on and really understanding, what the processes look like. And then we'll start meeting, I think, every weekend starting in the month of November. And we'll do that all through November, through championship weekend. obviously in December. And then, once you identify the top 25, for that final ranking, so to speak, then, kind of the work is done. But that's after championship Saturday. And then we don't have any commitments going to the playoff games, but we will be at the final national championship game out in Las Vegas in January.
I know, and part of this, you probably can't answer now because you have to go through the process to know, but I imagine too, for someone in your position, just understanding more of how these conversations go, and sure, the committee changes, so it's not always going to be the same, but that level of information for you to go back then to your coach and say, hey, this is what they were talking about, this is what needs to be emphasized years in advance, that has to be a pretty valuable part of it.
Yeah, I think so. I'm really looking forward to drilling down on the processes that they use. We learned in Nashville. I mean, there's probably over 1,000 data points you as a committee member can look at, but I think there's 10 to 15 that they really drill down on, and or the data points of emphasis, if you will. And then I know there's going to be a tremendous amount of watching of games, right? So a lot of that may be done after the game has been played. I think we'll get technology that will help us, upload those games or download them, if you will, and be able to watch them without commercial. You can do it without commentating, things like that, and just really, start keying in on the teams that seem to kind of rise to the surface. And I think every week we have to submit our own individual top 25 rankings, kind of justify, our reasons for that, and then obviously, whenever the first set of rankings come out in November, that's when we're really coming together as a group and deciding on, what that top 25 will look like each week.
To close it out, when you look big picture at the state of college athletics, I think we've had, a lot of stuff, even the last couple weeks. You look at what happened with the Big 12 conference and a quarterback with eligibility concerns and gambling, but just with how it's still evolving and changing, how confident, or I don't even know, wherever you want to take it, and where collegiate athletics are headed, where UL fits into that, because I just imagine it's so different than it was even 5 years ago, or even when you took this job. It's just been, as we know, every day there's something new.
Yeah, I think the key there, Dawson, is it's evolving. It's constantly changing. It feels like, at least, there's, whether you're at the Power Four, the Group of Six, the challenges are the same. I always say that the real differences are the commas and the zeros for the most part, right? I might be trying to find $2 million in revenue share funding, while my P4 colleagues are, searching for 20 million and more. But I think all of us are really having to hone in on what our structures are going to look like organizationally moving forward. What are we going to prioritize? What do we need to put an emphasis on? Where do we need to put resources into to ensure that we do have opportunities to grow resources in the revenue and the third-party NIL opportunities? Because at the end of the day, those are going to be the drivers. As we said earlier, our coaches here at UL, I think a lot of it's based on both philosophy, but our geographic location. We have the ability to really go out and find quality high school talent. We're going to be able to develop those young men and women. Obviously, there's a chance to lose them, as they progress in their athletic careers. But really what we want to do is be in a position where we can maybe keep those young men and women, an extra year or two, as opposed to what maybe a lot of schools at our level are being able to do. We think, if we can sustain that, the more continuity you have on a roster, the more continuity you have on coaching staffs, the better chances you have of winning, in my opinion. But it is absolutely evolutionary. It seems like you wake up every day, and if you're reading the articles and in the feeds, there's some type of change happening, discussion of change. But ultimately, I tell you, we're all, as an industry, we're still trying to figure it out. We don't have all the answers, but we're definitely evolving as the evolution of the industry continues.
Well, I thank you for doing this. Enjoy the somewhat slower off-season time, Dr. Maggard. And look, we'll be at media days before we know it. We'll be talking about football.
That's right. My wife and I are heading up to Kansas City next week for the birth of our first grandchild.
Congratulations.
In late June, and then we have our youngest daughter getting married in Kansas City late July. So it's going to be a whirlwind of a month in July.
Well, that is certainly worth celebrating. So thank you for doing this.
You betcha. Thank you. Have a great rest of the summer.
We'll go ahead and take a timeout. We've got more coming up. You're listening to the LohDown.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Make sure you celebrate America's 250th birthday with Lafayette Stars and Stripes, held on Saturday, July 4th at Park International in downtown Lafayette. Kids' activities, local pop-up shops, food vendors, musical performances by Sold Out, Rusty Matwire, and Zydeco Crush, and DJ Digital, and fireworks to cap it all off that night. This is a free family event, so make sure you mark your calendars. It's Lafayette Stars and Stripes, presented by Lafayette Consolidated Government, LUS, LFT Fiber, Serving Good Vibes, AVA, and Delta Media Corp.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is your home for the Houston Astros.
And the Astros stun the Mariners.
Hunter Brown, Yordan Alvarez, and the rest of the Astros are looking to get back to the postseason. You can listen to every pitch, hit, and thrilling victory of the Houston Astros.
Incredible!
As Robert Ford and Steve Sparks will be on the call. Tune in this season for live Astros baseball on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Lafayette Stars and Stripes is back and bigger than ever as America celebrates its 250th anniversary. Join us Saturday, July 4th at Park International in downtown Lafayette for a night of patriotic fun. Gates open at 5 p.m. with live music by Sold Out and Rusty Matwire and the Zydeco Crush, along with delicious food trucks, family activities, local vendors, and plenty of surprises. Then look to the sky for a spectacular fireworks finale at 9:30 p.m. Free admission presented by Lafayette Utility System, LFT Fiber, and Delta Media.
Acadiana area businesses. Is it time to make an impact? Time for more traffic, more engagement, time for more customers? Then it's time to make a splash with Bass. Bass is now offering digital marketing, indoor and outdoor digital signage, billboards, and video production to help you reach more customers and close more business. For over 30 years, Bass has helped our customers tell their story. Bass Companies. Remember, a business without a sign is a sign of no business. Advertise with Bass. Find us around Acadiana or at bassltd.com.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard. We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certifications. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We are the NFHS. That stands for the National Federation of State High School Associations. But really, what we stand for, together with the LHSAA, are the 110,000 high school sports students in Louisiana. And so we stand. We stand for the runners, soccer and basketball players. We stand for their coaches, administrators, and officials. We stand for the swimmers, football players, and wrestlers. We stand for the golfers, softball, and volleyball players. We stand as the national leader and advocate for high school athletics and all who participate in them and make them possible. Because it is our purpose to ensure that high school students get to play, perform, and compete together. To learn more about who we are and what we stand for, visit nfhs.org.
You know the routine. Eat, sleep, sports talk, repeat.
Well, up and at 'em. We're here.
Here is more daily sports talk from ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles.
All right, we're back here on the LohDown to wrap things up. Really appreciate Dr. Maggard's time there. Some cool stuff coming and, you know, just an update on everything. Just glad to get a chance to catch up with him as the summer arrives. And certainly, we mentioned at the very end, but congratulations to him and his family and best wishes on some exciting stuff happening. Grandchildren on the way and marriage happening with one of his daughters as well. So I've been watching, by the way, out of the corner of my eye, this France and Senegal match, and I'm glad, like, I was able during that commercial break to turn the sound on and hear some of the broadcast team, because I was sitting here going, France just looks lethargic. They don't look very good at all. And the broadcast team was saying it. They were like, my goodness, this France team just doesn't look ready to play. Senegal almost just scored at the very end of the first half. They had a great opportunity. They've had more chances for sure. And I said, like, Senegal's not a bad team. So there's a difference between them and, like when Spain looked bad against Cape Verde, it was, Cape Verde doesn't have very high expectations for this tournament, whereas Senegal, I think, is a little bit better. But some of these world favorites, man, I don't know if they got the memo that the tournament started yet. And, hey, you talk about jet lag and stuff like that, but I think most of these teams have traveled, weeks in advance. Like, they've been here a long time. Spain did not look good in their opener. France has not looked good in their opener. So interesting that some of the top teams have not looked like they're in top form. Now, as we mentioned, the group stages are a little bit more forgiving now than they once were, but if you're trying to put yourself into the best possible situation to win the group and have a good draw for your round of 32 matchup and beyond, you better start playing a little better. So France and Senegal are going to the half tied at 0. Over in Omaha, Troy is still down 2-0, but they do have a couple of runners on base now with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. Dawson Monteza, great first name, pitching for West Virginia right now, has been really good to this point. He's got 89 pitches thrown, though, so we'll see if they stick with him. The last thing I want to mention before we sign off today is the Astros play tonight. It is not just another game either. Hunter Brown is back off the injured list. He only made 2 starts to start the season before going on it. He is pitching at home against Framber Valdez. That is right, the former Houston Astro himself. A little bit of a tumultuous exit from the Astros organization after some allegations last year of, getting crossed up with his catcher on purpose. And obviously there was always kind of the, hey, where's Framber's head at thing. Pitched for the Astros for 8 years, did a lot of great things, helped them win a World Series in 22, but did not end, on super amicable terms. And he returns to Houston for the first time tonight. It'll be interesting to see what the response is. And quite honestly, and Kevin and I were talking about this off the air, just what he looks like. How is he going to pitch? Because, is Framber locked in? Framber going to show up, or is head case Framber going to show up? And what does Hunter Brown look like in his first start off the injured list? So actually a really important Astros game tonight at 7:10. And I will have a recap of that game up on ESPN SouthwestLouisiana.com. So if you're not able to tune in, of course, you can listen to that game on our airwaves, but if you're not able to tune in, you can check out a recap of it after the fact. No show tomorrow because of Astros baseball, the finale of that series. It's the only Astros interruption we have for like the next 2 months, to be honest with you. They don't play a lot of day games here in the summertime this year for whatever reason, but tomorrow's show will be wiped out. I will be back on Thursday. We'll have a whole lot to talk about. Obviously, the World Series will roll on, the World Cup will roll on, and we'll be headed towards another weekend. So no show tomorrow. We'll be back on Thursday, 1 to 3 p.m. Appreciate all of our guests here today. Chris Fissaro talking U.S. Open with us, Ali Cassell on the NBA, and Dr. Brian Maggard talking UL Athletics. Thanks to James as well for helping us out. That'll do it for us. AFR is up next. You are listening to ESPN, Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
When it comes to the best boudin cracklins in Acadiana, just follow your nose to Billy's Boudin Cracklins. You know the original stuffed pepper jack boudin balls, award-winning boudin cracklins, but you gotta sink your teeth into their variety of fresh and smoked sausages. Stock up on the wide selection of specialty meats as well. They're available at all 4 locations of Billy's Boudin Cracklins, Opelousas, Scott, Lafayette, or the Crot Springs location now featuring a dine-in area with great burgers and much more cooked to order. Or visit online at billysboudin.com.
When strength matters, go to apfabllp.com. Precision built to last, from heavy-duty aluminum structural welding using TIG, MIG, and stick to custom metal fabrication designed exactly for your project. Need safety inspections, weld analysis, or 24-hour metal repairs? Trust A&P to get the job done. For quality craftsmanship and dependable service, visit apfabllp.com. That's apfabllp.com. A&P Fabrication and Construction. Built strong, built right.
Every weeknight, MeTV has your laugh therapy.
To chase away the blues or the olive drabs.
With 2 hours of MASH at 5.
This guy's ankle has tickled my funny bone.
Followed by the Andy Griffith Show at 7.
Doggone it, Otis. You're supposed to be hugging me when I'm arresting you.
But he likes you, Bard.
Weeknights on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard. We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certifications. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.